And a good spiritual morning to you once again. I'm Father Cosmas. Thanks for joining me today for a quick chat and, of course, our morning cup of coffee. And so, big news over the weekend, war breaking out in the Middle East. For those of us that have been around for a while, a few decades, we've lived with war in the Middle East our whole life, basically. And we had a break. We had a little respite from it for a few years. It was out of the news cycle. And now it's back. The wars, I don't think it ever stopped, but now we're hearing about it again. And so what do we do with this? How do we process this? What do we think about it for us as Orthodox Christians? Anything that we can benefit from or think about as it relates to the conflict with Palestine and Israel that's been raging for decades and now kind of coming to a head once again with Hamas in Gaza attacking Israel, Israel declaring war, counterattack, thousands of people probably perishing. So what do we do with this? Well, I think it's interesting that, again, we haven't heard that much about it. We don't even hear much about the war in Ukraine anymore. I mean, it's kind of there. It's been so politicized in our country. We only hear about it when there's a vote to approve more money to send. Then we talk about it. But as far as I know, this country's still at war over there. And it's sad because you have two Orthodox countries, basically, at war with each other. And so for us, as Orthodox, for us, it should be devastating to hear about the loss of life and that tragedy. We just don't talk about it. What's in our news cycle? Well, the government was going to shut down, so they voted, they ousted the Speaker of the House. Now they got a new Speaker of the House, and there's indictments going on. There's this guy over here. There's inquiries for this guy over here. And when that fails, let's talk about the environment. We're going to talk about inflation and the economy and the border and whatever else, crime and all these different things. And we think that that's news. But in other parts of the world, what is news? I don't know. Rockets raining down from heaven and just blowing up your home and killing you. Like, that's reality. And that's what's happening in other parts of the world that we don't sort of process. We think we have our problems, and of course we do. But relative to the other problems, we are blessed. And I think that's the kind of what I thought when I heard about it again was, wow, look at those images, look at those pictures, look at those poor people. How I thought I had problems. How blessed am I? And really in the spiritual life, how to take something like that and benefit from it. Well, I need to sit down and count, we'd say as a cliche, count your blessings. But that's actually a very helpful spiritual exercise because we get anxious, we get depressed, we have negative emotion, we wrestle with things, we have darker moments, and we feel that God has abandoned us or left us. Where is God? And I don't know, and I don't feel God's presence, and I feel abandoned. And when we're not sitting down and thinking about how blessed am I, everything that God has given me, and if you sit down and actually think about it, and don't just think about it, you know what? Actually write it down. If you're kind of the person that uses pen and paper still, put pen to paper and write down a list. How has God blessed me in my life? And right now, what are my blessings? Write them down and think about them really and write them down. Or open a document on your computer, call it blessings, put it on your desktop, type it in, write them down, and leave it there, right? And if you're doing a piece of paper, come back to it and look at it and really think about it. Why is it important? Because in the spiritual life, we're trying to build trust in God and hope in God's grace, right? We're trying to build that relationship with Christ. If you have a healthy relationship with someone, don't you have to trust them? How many healthy relationships do you have with people you don't trust? If you think about someone and say, wow, I just don't trust that guy, how good's your relationship going to be? Probably not very good. And so we're trying to build that relationship. But if you don't have trust and hope that that person is actually a benefit in your life, how good can the relationship be? Part of what we have to do is build trust and hope. And we do that by saying to ourselves, well, when I was in this jam, the person came and helped me out. And I know that if I need them, I can pick up the phone and call them and they're going to come and help me. That's a strong relationship. And we want that relationship with Christ. In order to build that, you've got to think about the positives. You've got to focus on the blessings. Sit down and write them. Open the document, the Word doc, type them in there and leave it there. And every once in a while, open it and look at it. Open the paper, read it, and say, wow, yes, God has provided all of these things. So many people in the world are so much worse off than I am. And God has blessed me in all of these ways. Why should I think that He will stop now? He's only going to continue to bless me. I can trust Him. I can hope in His grace, in His love, and in His mercy. And in that way, when we judge our lives relative to people that could be bombed at any time in a distant land, or people that are starving somewhere, people that are at war, people that are these horrible circumstances, for us, we should think, wow, I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to try to help the people that need my help all around me, because God has blessed me. And that's the thing. Once you count God's blessings and you realize the grace that's there, and you have that relationship, you're building up that relationship with Christ, you want to help other people. You have the love of God in you. And now you can say, okay, now what can I do? Because you're not focusing on your own misery. Right? If you're only focusing on your own misery in a narcissistic way, how are you going to be able to reach out and help others? So yes, what's happening in the Middle East is tragic. We can't get on a plane and fly over there and fight. We can pray for them. We can try to pray. There are people around us struggling all the time. We can help them in whatever ways we can, because we've learned to trust in God. We've learned to build our relationship with God, and we've learned that by counting our blessings and realizing how much God continues to help us, give us His grace and His love and His mercy, and He does that each and every day. Amen.